Hey everyone, welcome back. On her last day as the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard released a bunch of documents, and the title of this release was Fauci Funded Wuhan Lab Research that Sparked COVID. New evidence that he manipulated the intelligence and lied to Congress. Now, there were a ton of documents, and I scrolled through them as fast as I could, but I landed on one set that I thought was interesting. There was a concerted effort by Biden administration political appointees to bury this Intel whistleblower report where someone said that Fauci lied under oath to Congress. What they essentially did is the director of national intelligence for Biden at the time, her name was Avril Haines, she was forwarded an Intel whistleblower complaint that Tony Fauci lied under oath when he testified before the Help Committee in the Senate. After she got that complaint, normally what you would do is you would send it back to the committee where the lying occurred, or you would send it on to the HHS Inspector General, which oversees Tony Fauci, and they would work up a criminal complaint and pass it off to the Department of Justice. Well, that's not what happened. Instead, Avril Haines met with Tony Fauci's boss, HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra, and after she met with him, she decided instead to send it directly to him, Fauci's boss, where he didn't do anything with it. And she also then forwarded on to the Senate Intelligence Committee and the House Intelligence Committee, who they weren't lied to, so they didn't do anything with this lie. And this is all found in these emails. So here's what we see. At first, on August 11th, the Inspector General for the intelligence community sends Avril Haines, the DNI, this complaint, and what she says is the complaint alleges Dr. Fauci provided false testimony to Congress related to the conduct of gain-of-function research at the National Institute of Health, thereby, quote, misleading the American people in congressional oversight. And she says that they had discussed referring this complaint to the HHS OIG, but because this came from an intelligence whistleblower, so some of the things this person referenced were actually classified material. So they were a little concerned about forwarding this on to the HHS IG. So this is August 11th. The next thing you see is on August 16th, the political appointee who Biden had picked to be the general counsel for the director of national intelligence is a guy named Christopher Fonzoni. So he's the attorney working for Avril Haines. Fonzoni emails Avril Haines on August 16th, and he provides her with these talking points that she can use to talk to Xavier Becerra. And he also says you can send this complaint on to Congress as well. And he provides her some talking points for this. And in the email, he explains to her that what they think happened is actually what Xavier Becerra, the secretary, has already told her. So disclosing the fact that Avril Haines has already talked to Tony Fauci's boss, Secretary Becerra. So now on August 19th, there's another email from Fonzoni, the attorney, to Avril Haines and some others at the Director of National Intelligence. And he points out that we've looked at this a little bit more. This complaint refers to Tony Fauci lying to the Senate Help. And during this hearing, Senator Paul confronted Dr. Fauci. Senator Paul was the head of Senate Help at the time, well, the lead Republican on Senate Help. And that Senator Paul confronted Dr. Fauci because what Fauci done is he lied under oath. Fonzoni tells Avril Haines is that because she's spoken to Tony Fauci's boss, Secretary Becerra, there's really not any need to send this on to the HHS Inspector General. Instead, we've got a draft, and this draft letter is going to go to Secretary Becerra and to these other members of Congress. But when you look at the letter, you see that it's going on to the intelligence committees, not to Senator Paul where the lie occurred. So Senator Paul never gets any complaint sent to him to explain that, guess what? There's an intelligence official who agrees with the fact that Tony Fauci lied to you under oath during this hearing. The letter to these intelligence officials actually says, after consulting with the Secretary of Health and Human Services, I have thus requested the acting Inspector General for the intelligence community also transmit this complaint to the Secretary. So it's no longer now going to the HHS Inspector General, which might be worked up for a criminal complaint. So this is basically how this entire process was deep sixed. They just sent it on to the wrong people. Instead of sending it on to Senate Help and send it to the HHS Inspector General, they sent it to these other committees, and they sent it to Fauci's boss, the Secretary Becerra. So then months after all this happens, what we see are these two intelligence officials, and they're discussing this editorial that appeared in the Washington Post. And one of them emails to the other intelligence officials. We can't see what their names are because they're redacted. He said, I somehow missed this last week, but the NIH sent a letter to Congress basically saying that the WIV did gain-of-function research after all. So he's like, yeah, they actually did it. And then he says, Rand Paul then went on Axios on HBO and claimed this is proof Fauci lied to Congress. Well, of course it is. But of course, what we know now is that Senator Paul never got this whistleblower letter letting him know that, yes, Fauci did lie under oath. So this is how all this works. So where are these people today? Avril Haines, she's left, right? She's now at Columbia University. She's teaching there. Christopher Fonzoni, who deep sixed everything and said, hey, send it on to Tony Fauci's boss, send it on this other committee. He now is teaching at NYU School of Law. And Xavier Becerra, who orchestrated all this behind the scenes to make sure it didn't get sent anywhere. Xavier Becerra is now running for the governorship of California. He's probably going to become governor of California. So this is how the whole thing works. You orchestrate things, you send it to the wrong people, and you can shut down a whistleblower complaint. This is just part of what some of these documents show. There's more to come. Please subscribe to the bottom if you can, and please keep following me, guys. We're going to have a lot of fun following a lot of this stuff. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.